Welcome students. Today we will solve isometric view of hexagonal prism of base edge 25 mm and height 40 mm. So let us see what steps we need in order to draw the isometric view of hexagonal prism. The very first step is we have to draw hexagon on the grid sheet. In this question, we are given hexagonal prism whose base edge is 25 mm. It means hexagon is of 25 mm. So first of all, we will draw hexagon on the grid sheet. So in order to draw the hexagon on the grid sheet, we have to see the size of the hexagon. So size of the hexagon is 25 mm. So we will open compass to 25 mm and we will place compass on a particular dot. Let us say this dot, and we will draw a continuous thin circle. We will keep it thin, and the radius of this circle is equal to the length of the side of the hexagon, that is 25 mm. Now after this, we will draw vertical diameter of this circle if we want this position of the hexagon. So let us draw vertical diameter. So we will line our scale with this column and we will draw a continuous thin line over here. This is the vertical diameter of this circle. Now we will open compass again equal to 25 mm, which is the size of the hexagon, and we will place compass at this diametric end and we will cut circle on both sides by thin curves. So the size of the compass is equal to the size of the hexagon, 25 mm. After that, we will place compass at this point, that is the second diametric end, and we will cut circle on both sides of this vertical diameter. Keep arcs thin. Then after that, we will join these 2 points with the help of straight line. Then we will draw straight line in between these 2 points. Then we will connect these 2 points with straight line. Then we will connect these 2 points. We have to draw a hexagon thick over here. Now let us connect these 2 points with straight line. Now let us connect these 2 points with straight line. So in the first step, we have to draw the hexagon on the grid sheet. Now after this, we will erase this circle. Now we will name the hexagon. Let us start from this point and let us name it as A, B, C, D, E, F. And after this, we will enclose this hexagon inside a box. So for that, what we will do, at this point of the hexagon, we will draw continuous horizontal line, continuous thin line, and then we will draw continuous thin line over here. That means we will extend this side of the hexagon on both sides with continuous thin line. Then we will extend this side of the hexagon on both sides with continuous thin line. Then from this point of the hexagon, we will draw horizontal line and we will keep that line continuous thin. So we have enclosed this hexagon inside a rectangle. So let us erase these extensions. Remember, we have to keep this box thin. Now we will name the box also. Let us name it as 1, 2, 3 and 4. So second step is enclose that hexagon inside a box. In the next step, we will draw the isometric view of hexagonal prism. So remember one thing, whenever we have to draw isometric view of a hexagonal prism, first of all we have to assume that hexagonal prism is enclosed inside a box. So first of all we have to draw isometric of that box first, and after that inside the isometric of that box we will draw isometric of hexagonal prism. Now in this case the length of this box will be equal to the distance across flat faces of the hexagon, and width of this box will be equal to distance across the corners of the hexagon. Now at the start we don't know what will be the distance across flat of the hexagon or across corners of the hexagon. So in order to know those distances we have done this step. Actually in this step what we are representing that this is the top view of hexagonal prism. When we will look at this prism from top, we will see a hexagon only. And if we have assumed that hexagonal prism is enclosed inside a box, then from top along with hexagon we will see top view of the box also. That is why after drawing the hexagon we have drawn that box. So this is the top view of this situation when hexagonal prism is enclosed inside a box. So from top we will see the top face of the hexagonal prism, that will be a hexagon, and we will see top face of the box, that will be a rectangle. Now from this particular drawing we will get distance across flats of the hexagon, that will be the length of the box, and we will get distance across corners of the hexagon, so that will be the width of the box. That is why this step is important and we have to do this step first. From this step we will get to know the length of the box and the width of the box, because before drawing isometric view of hexagonal prism we need to draw isometric view of the box. So this method is known as box method. Okay, so let us start with the drawing of isometric view of the box. So for that what we will do, we will align our scale with this row and we will draw a continuous thin line of around 30 millimeters. On that line we will mark a point, and on that point we will put our protector and we will draw two lines on both sides at 30 degrees. So these two are called as isometric axis. So let us mark a point at 30 degree this side. Similarly mark a point at 30 degree on other side. After that we will align these 2 points with the help of scale, and we will draw a continuous thin line that will be called as isometric axis. Then we will align these 2 points and we will draw continuous thin line of any length at the start. So this is the second isometric axis. Now first of all we need to draw isometric of the box, and we know the length of the box is equal to this distance, that is 1 2. So let us assume that this point is 1. So let us mark it as 1. So on this axis we will draw length of the box, which is equal to the distance between 1 2. So let us measure this distance with the help of compass. Now we will draw that distance over here, means we will cut this isometric axis to that distance. So for that, put your compass at this intersection, that is point 1, and mark an arc on this isometric axis. And this point is point number 2. So let us label this as point number 2. On this side we will cut width of the box. So width of the box is 1 4. So let us measure its width, that is 1 4 with the help of compass, and from point 1 cut this axis to same distance. So this intersection is point number 4. After that, what we will do, we will measure this distance again, that is 1 2, because in front of length we have to draw second length, because in order to draw isometric of this box we first have to draw its base, or you can say the bottom face. So for bottom face, after drawing length and width, we have to draw two more edges. So in front of width we have to draw width, in front of length we have to draw length. So for this, what we will do, we will measure this distance, that is 1 2, with the help of compass again, and from point number 4 we will draw this arc. We will draw a thin arc over here. Now we will measure distance 1 4, that is the width of the box, and from this point we will draw another arc which will cut the first arc. So this is point number 3. Now after this we will connect these 2 points with thin lines. So you can see we have created the base of the box, that is the bottom face of the box. Now after this, what we will do, we will raise these 4 corners of the box equal to the height of the prism given in the question, and that height is 40 millimeters. So from these 4 corners we will draw vertical lines of 40 millimeters, and these lines must be continuous thin, and lines must be vertical, so line your scale carefully. Then from this point also, make sure lines must be vertical, so line your scale carefully. So we have drawn vertical lines at 4 corners of the bottom face, means we have drawn the height of the box, that is 40 millimeters, equal to the height of the prism. Then we will connect these points at the top with continuous thin lines to draw the top face of the box. Remember, draw thin lines. So we are ready with the isometric of the box, in which we have assumed that hexagonal prism is enclosed. Now we will draw isometric view of this prism. So at the bottom face of the box, we will draw bottom face of the prism, that is a hexagonal base. It means in this isometric of the bottom face of the box, we will draw isometric of hexagon. So let us see how we can draw. Now you can see over here, this is the bottom face of the box, let us say, and let us say this hexagon is representing the bottom face of the prism. So in order to draw this hexagonal shape inside this box, we have to locate these 6 points on these 4 sides of the box. You can see on this side 1, 2, we have point A. So on this side 1, 2, we have to locate that point. Then on this side 2, 3, we have 2 points B and C. So these 2 points we have to locate on this side. Similarly on side 3, 4, we have point D. So we have to locate point D over here. Similarly, we have to locate points E and F of the hexagon between side 4, 1. So let us first locate this point A, which is in between 1, 2, that is on this side. So for that we need compass. We will put compass at 1 and we will measure this distance, that is 1A. And we'll put compass at this point and we'll mark that distance on this side labeled as 1, 2 over here. So this point is A. Now between side 2 and 3 we have 2 points B and C. So let us locate point B first, and remember, always measure distances from the corners. Don't measure distance from A to B, that will give wrong results. Measure distance from the corners of the box, means from point 2 measure this distance to B and place your compass at 2 and mark that distance on this side. Now this will be called as point B. After that we will measure 3C, that will be same as that of 2B, but still let us measure. So see, it is same. So from point number 3, cut that distance on this length. Draw a thin arc. So this is point D. Sorry, this is point C. Then we will measure distance from 3 to D, which is equal to 1 to A. So from 3, put your compass at 3 and cut this length 3 to 4 by drawing an arc. So this point is point D. Now after this we will locate these 2 points. So measure 4E and from this point 4 cut this edge 4, 1 with a thin arc. So that will be called as point E. Now 4E is equal to 1F. So with same distance, mark a point from 1 on this edge. Draw an arc. So this is point F. Now we will join these points first with continuous thin lines. Why thin lines? Because you can see some edges of the base of the prism will be hidden behind the front faces. Fine. So we are not sure at the start which edges will be hidden. So at the start we will draw all the edges thin, and we will complete the isometric of the base of the prism, that is isometric of hexagon. So you can see we have drawn base of the prism, hexagonal prism. Now in the similar manner we will draw top face of the hexagonal prism, and that we have to draw over here, that is on the top face of the box. So we have two choices. Either we should follow same steps, means measure 1a, mark from here, measure 2b, mark from here, similarly measure 3c, mark from here, means repeat same step at the top face of the box. Our second method is that from these points you can draw continuous thin lines in vertical direction up to the opposite edge. So to this edge, this is the opposite edge. So from point A, draw a continuous thin vertical line up to that edge, but make sure these lines must be vertical. Similarly to this edge, this is the opposite edge. So line your scale with point B and draw a continuous thin vertical line up to opposite edge. Similarly from point C, you can draw continuous thin line which should be vertical, and it should be up to opposite edge. Similarly from point D, so opposite to this edge is this edge. So from this point, that is point D, draw a continuous thin vertical line up to the opposite edge. Then from point E, do the same step. So for this edge, this is the opposite edge. Make sure scales should be vertical, otherwise isometric view will not be correct. Similarly from point F. So we have obtained 6 intersections at the top face. And we know in the isometric of a hexagonal prism, top face is clearly visible to us. So we will draw top face of the hexagonal prism thick. So we will connect these 2 points with thick line. Means we will now create top face of the hexagonal prism, which will be isometric of hexagon. That we will draw by joining these 6 points with continuous thick lines. So you can see we have created the top of this hexagonal prism. Now we will show the visible edges. You can see this edge, this one, and over here. These 4 edges are visible from front. But these 2 edges, this one and this one, these are not visible. These are hidden behind these faces. So we will keep these thin and we will draw these edges thick. Now after that we will see the visible edges of the bottom face. So these three edges of the bottom face will be visible, so we have to draw these also thick. So now we are ready with the isometric of hexagonal prism. Now it's time to place dimensions. So let us place its height first. So in order to place its height, we will use height of the box, and we have to place isometric dimensions. So align your scale carefully with this isometric axis and leave 1 mm gap, draw a continuous thin line. So this extension line is parallel to this axis. So this is isometric extension line. Similarly, align your scale with this isometric line, leave 1 mm gap, draw a continuous thin line of around 15 millimeters. So now these two extension lines are parallel to this isometric axis. So these two are isometric extension lines. Now in between these two extension lines, we have to draw vertical dimension line. Why vertical? Because third isometric axis is vertical axis, and we have to place height. So parallel to that axis, we have to place dimension line. So this will be called as isometric dimension line. Add closed field arrowheads on both sides in 3:1, and over here we will write in Gothic style 40 millimeters. Now after that we will place the base edge length. It is 25 mm. So for that what we will do? We have to search for isometric edge of this hexagonal prism. Now you see over here in the front, three edges are visible to us, but these two edges are not parallel to any of these three isometric axes. So these are non-isometric edges or non-isometric lines. Only this edge is along this isometric axis. So this is isometric edge. So for this we will place the length. So how we will place? We will use roller scale. Align your roller scale with this isometric axis and roll carefully to this point and leave 1 mm gap, draw continuous thin line. So this extension line must be parallel to this axis because we need to draw isometric extension lines. Similarly, roll to the next point, that is point E, and scale should be parallel to the isometric axis. Leave 1 mm gap, continuous thin line of around 15 millimeters. Now you can see these two lines are parallel to this axis. So these two are isometric extension lines. Then align your scale with this axis, roll back by around 15 millimeters and draw dimension line. So this line is parallel to this axis, so this is also isometric dimension line. And then we will place closed field arrowheads on both sides, and we will place its dimension as 25 millimeters in Gothic style. Then after that we will place angles. So we know these two are 30-degree angles because we are drawing isometric views. So this angle is also 30 degrees. So place these angles carefully by drawing curved dimension line. So we are ready with our answer. So this is the isometric view of hexagonal prism. I hope this answer is clear to you. Thank you very much.